welcome to Tucker Carlson's Night. Happy Monday. People used to tell you that Donald Trump was stupid. Remember that? He's an idiot. Now, we're not going to sit here and tell you it was a smart idea to turn the White House over to Jared Kushner. It was not. But it's also true, if we're being honest, and we should be, that Donald Trump had far wiser instincts about American foreign policy than any leader in at least a generation. And he did it without the help of anyone. None of his advisors wanted to hear his views on foreign policy. In fact, they desperately wanted Trump to be quiet, but Trump wouldn't. What's the point of NATO? He asked, nearly 30 years after the fall of the Soviet Union. No one in Washington could answer him. Shut up, racist, they replied. But Trump just kept going in his Trumpy way. Why would we fight Russia, he wondered. Wouldn't making Russia our enemy just drive Putin into the arms of China and create the most powerful and dangerous anti-American bloc in history? No one bothered to answer him. In fact, for the sin of asking, they called him a traitor to his country. They impeached him for it. And then they started a war with Putin. But in retrospect, Trump had asked a deeply patriotic question. If Russia ever joined forces with China, American global hegemony, its power would end instantly. You'd have the world's largest landmass and largest natural gas reserves allied with the world's largest population and world's largest economy. So a Russia-China axis would be not just more powerful than the United States, but much more powerful. It would have the scale to control a lot of the world's economy and trade routes and raw materials. It could project military force that, posturing aside, we actually don't have the power to stop. If Russia and China ever got together, it would be a brand new world, and the United States would be greatly diminished. Most Americans agree that would be bad. Now, as Donald Trump predicted very clearly, that is happening. Thanks to Joe Biden's reckless and self-destructive response to the invasion of Ukraine a year ago this week, the economies of Russia and China are intertwined. Chinese spending on Russian goods has increased by more than 60%. China now imports more coal from Russia than it has in the last 5 years. Chinese shipments to Russia, meanwhile, are up by nearly 30%. Companies like Ford and Toyota pulled out of Russia. They had to, remember that? So what happened next? Chinese automakers stepped in. Chinese car makers once made less than 10% of all cars bought in Russia. Now China makes a third of them. And you can see where this is going. The same thing has happened with smartphones and countless other consumer goods. Not surprisingly, the Chinese yuan is replacing the dollar in Moscow. Chinese currency now accounts for fully 1/5 of all trades on the Moscow Stock Exchange. That's up.
Story getting a lot of attention now. I want to take you down to the Tar Heel State, North Carolina Senate Committee passing a bill that bans males from female sports. And our next guest has quite a story. She's a high school girls volleyball player. She's been urging lawmakers to take action after she suffered a concussion and a neck injury back in September from a transgender player spiking the ball during a volleyball game.
I could go on and on about how this incident has affected my life, but I'm not here for that because I'm not here for me. Allowing biological males to compete against biological females is dangerous.
I want to bring in Peyton McNabb, the woman you see there on screen and here in person. Welcome to New York.
Thank you.
You're from Murphy, North Carolina.
We've been waiting for you.
Yeah, you're in the far western part of the state. First time on an airplane. First time to New York City. You're living life. Back on the 1st of September, I've seen the video. You took a shot.
It's hard for me to watch.
Yeah. What do you remember from that?
I just remember the very, very silent and shocked gym after it happened. I remember the fear from my teammates, knowing that they would have to continue to play the game even after that incident happened. And I just remember everyone just so not knowing what to do, and it was just very, very traumatizing.
What was your recovery like?
It was hard. It's very slow. It's been very difficult, not being able to get back into things as I have in the past. So it's been very difficult, but thankfully I'm improving.
Did you know immediately when it happened? Like, did you know you were playing against a transgender?
Yes, we did.
Okay. So, and then that happens, and had you been concerned about the strength of this individual before the game?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so. But we couldn't just refuse the game since it was a conference game, so we had to continue to play them, even though none of us wanted to. So it was definitely...
So during warm-ups, right, you're checking out the other team. They're on the other side of the court. What did you see, and what did you think of that player's performance?
It was obviously a lot different than what we've been seeing the rest of the season or the rest of the years I've been playing. I was very used to it, though, at that point, because he's the same age as me, so we played together all 4 years against them. But I just remember seeing how, like, the fear, and especially our younger players on the team who've never played against them before.
Wow.
So just seeing how scared they were, it was really heartbreaking.
Did you hear from that individual afterwards?
I hadn't heard from them at all until like a week after I spoke out for the first time.
Hi, Sisha Pal. Folks, do us a favor, please. Hit that free like and that free subscribe button. It helps us a lot. It tells us the shows that you want to see. So let us go ahead and talk about the two segments we just saw. So we watched the Tucker Carlson one, and we watched another one on Fox with Brian Kimmel, and he talked about transgender. What do both of them have in common? I'm going to show you. 57% of the American population, they understand money, the rest don't. 1 in 10 American only has 1,000 saved. Collective amount, 1 trillion in credit card debt, $28,000 in student loans. And this is what our government is doing. This is what our government is doing, promoting a 5% transgender that what does nonsense but pull people down. And what do they do as well? You see Russia and China trading without the US dollar. That's a problem for us. That is a big problem in the United States because we are the country, the reserve. And as you could hear from Tucker Carlson on the Fox News segment, no. China and Russia, which Russia is the largest country in the world, and China, they're very hard workers. Believe me, I grew up in Jamaica with Chinese. They work hard. I have the privilege of working with Americans and Chinese. Americans work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. The Chinese work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. So obviously, it's just a matter of time before they pass the Americans, okay? So what I'm trying to say is that sanctioning Russia is bad. $32 trillion debt is bad. The Chinese and the Russians trading not the US dollar is bad for America. SEC versus XRP was bad. Suing Banaka, chasing them away, chasing crypto was bad. Closing down Silicon Valley Bank, that was bad. All those things are bad. 2008, when President Obama shut the banks down, but stopped people from getting refinanced out and, literally shutting the banks down, that was bad. We're still paying for that. So what does the federal government really spend money on? Well, 5% is towards education. But as you could tell from the Fox segment with Brian Kimmel, that it's diversity and transgender they're spending it on. Why aren't they using that money for finding